think of eternal life. At the beginning of my message, I suggested with a smile that some of you might be hoping to find a prospect for marriage, perhaps in the not-too-distant future. May I offer a word of counsel in addition to that quotation from President McKay about keeping your eyes wide open? The commandment to love our neighbors without discrimination is certain, but it must not be misunderstood. It applies generally. Selection of a marriage partner, on the other hand, involves specific and not general criteria. After all, you can only be married to one individual. The probabilities of a successful marriage are known to be much greater if both the husband and wife are united in their religion, language, culture, and ethnic background. Thus, in choosing your eternal companion, please be wise. It's better not to fly in the face of constant headwinds. Occasional squalls provide challenge enough.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. So YouTube again is cyber terrorizing me now that I've had a breakout video since yesterday after the prophets got out of their Thursday week meeting. So that would also explain why I have the breakout videos, is because a prophet of the church wants to find out about my videos. And so yes, the one on yesterday, that was the initial breakout video, was the one on Bednar. So they get out of their meeting and then they learn about the Bednar video and they check it out, and that screws up the analytics that YouTube has tried so hard to protect the church with, and I get a breakout video. And so I have more comments to do another comment review today. You know, that's fine. I won't do women's fashion today, I guess. Make you guys feel guilty. And you know, it's technically it's the beginning of the Christmas holiday, as it's on Monday technically, but yeah, everybody's drunky today, right? Probably called in sick if you had to work. And heading out of town. And so I'm kind of disappointed that my views were tanking right before the Bednar video, as it was clear that it was YouTube's suppression of me and not my audience. You know, they will not leave me alone. The church and Mormons, they will not stop until I am completely silenced. They cannot soundly argue a defense for the church. And so this is what they have to resort to: crime, to keep their law of sacrifice covenants to protect the church at all costs. And so such has been my life. You know, you try to be reasonable with Mormons, and they refuse to be reasonable. You mock them, and they want to fight. Mormons just are literally stupid because they will not study. They read, ponder, pray, and they get the right feeling. And that leads to the dark ages of Mormonism. And Mormons want to purposely head the world into the dark ages, and they have no clue of the danger you're in. And so we're going to do a commentary video instead of talking about porn and masturbation with Natasha Helfer, which is what's coming for the kingdom. And no porn and masturbation, but that what the church did to Natasha is what's going to happen to you guys. And so James has responded to a couple of videos, and one is one in which I did a comment and reply video of to respond, which was why I approved Mark's comment. And Mark, you need to be scolded. It's all fun and games when you're picking on me and fictional Nancy Drew. But Exmo Lex and Jasmine are real. And so you gotta tone it down. Go back to Barbie if you want. You can go back to Nancy Drew. But when it comes to real people, you gotta tone it down. Just letting you know. And so this was dealing with unintelligent Mormonism. And Mark had a comment that under normal conditions, if you knew nothing of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you would think that this was a racist thing to say. But Mark is speaking from experience as a former Mormon himself. And I wanted to expand upon this even further, and was specifically hoping that James was listening to this video, the video that I made a comment reply for. This was 11 days ago when Mark made his comment. And so James finally got around to watching this video and saw Mark's comment below, and did not hear my comment reply to expand upon that. And so again, I will do that, and because of this miscommunication, I will also delete Mark's comment so that it is not going to confuse or offend future people as well. But with Brigham Young, he turned Joseph Smith's church into the Great and Abominable Church. Everything was changed. Not a single thing was the same as Joseph Smith's. Not even the Book of Mormon, because he changed the interpretation of it. Not even the words of Joseph Smith, because he did some editings and he created forged documents. And instilled numerous new practices of abomination, like priestcraft, and was able to finally now come out in the open as practicing polygamy. And one of the more famous ones that the church did a gospel topics essay on was race and the priesthood, in which they throw Brigham Young under the bus and blame him, because nobody can really make a good argument that Joseph Smith was racist. People have tried to do it with Brigham Young's altered documents of Joseph's, like the Book of Mormon, for example. And James is doing a project on comparing the 3 different Book of Mormons. And so, yes, I would love to have that version when you're done with it. And so what Mormons have been trying to hide about Brigham Young, though, was some of the more evil racism that he was involved with. It wasn't just denying blacks the priesthood, to go to the temple, to get sealed so that they can be exalted, and thus not practice polygamy. But this was part of his evil racism, was he didn't want blacks to procreate faster than the white supremacist Danite Mormons. And so that was also part of why he did what he did. But he also made sure that there were no intermarriages, as James and Jasmine are married as an interracial couple who had been approached by the missionaries to join the church and start paying the protection racket, tithing money. And Brigham Young, in order to make sure that the Mormons would not interbreed, he gave a commandment from Jesus that the death penalty would be installed for anybody having sex with or marrying somebody who was black. Whether you were a man marrying a black woman, whether you were, especially if you're a woman marrying a black man. And if the black man or woman was not Mormon, they too were also sentenced to death. This wasn't a case of, well, it's just within Mormonism. Brigham Young intended to take away the agency of other human beings who were not Mormon, didn't want to be Mormon, and subject them to his rules and laws. And so this is why I warn Mormons that when Nelson is doing all this stuff to get the kingdom back, that he's bringing back polygamy, that he's bringing back the extortion threat for the law of consecration rather than just tithing, that he's also going to implement these racist, bigoted, sexist practices and procedures that Brigham Young had changed the church into. And I will be putting, I probably should write it down to make sure I put it in, Nelson's racist clip. He gave a talk to BYU and told the kids there at BYU not to intermarry. Nelson is a racist. It is very plain and clear. And so despite his friendship with the NAACP, knowing that he is a racist at heart, it's very clear that he's playing the NAACP for suckers and losers, to use them for his advantage. And any black member of the church are propped up as advertising for the church that we're no longer racist, when they still are, as James and Jasmine knows from those missionaries who were little kids and still believe that blacks were fence sitters in the premortal existence. The racist thinking is still in Mormonism. And yet Mormons lie and deny, claiming, well, we don't do that anymore. Jesus, you know, he's no longer a racist. He told the prophet back in 1978, Kimball, that we're no longer racist. And yet they still are. There's the Menaces to Society, I think they're called. It's a TikTok group who went to BYU, and I think they now are branching out to other universities. But they were doing a whole bunch of TikTok videos, getting multi-millions of views, about how the BYU students are still racist in the church. And they're clueless about Mormonism. And that's the whole fault of read, ponder, pray, and get the right feeling. Mormons only feel the church is true, and I went over a comment video before about a person who doesn't understand how to study and do research, and they're clueless. You know, when the Book of Mormon says it's in the learning of the Jews, you can't just read, ponder, and pray and get the right feeling to know what the answer is. You actually have to do your research and study to know what the learning of the Jews is so that your interpretation of the Book of Mormon is correct. Mormons won't do that. This quick, easy path to knowledge, as they suppose, it is too enticing to let go of, to actually do the work and study so that you know what's going on, so that you can identify the forged documents of Brigham Young, so that you can correctly interpret the Book of Mormon so that you don't use Christian Jesus and all of its abominations. And so this is another one that the younger generation of Mormons knew nothing of the history, that Brigham Young called for the death penalty of anybody having sex and marrying those who were black, along with the person who was black, whether Mormon or not. Brigham Young was a murderer, not just a white supremacist, racist, sexist, bigot, anti-Semite, neglectful of the poor. You know, he had slavery. That's the whole thing by neglecting the poor. He put them into slavery. The Perpetual Immigration Fund, that was slavery. And Brigham Young made it a corporation. And when people paid him back, he then granted those Mormons citizenship. And that's Congress's job. So if you've heard in the news lately, like I did today, you know, the Speaker of the House, Johnson, he's demanding that Biden fix the immigration problem. That's his job as Speaker. He's supposed to come up with a bill for Congress to approve and fix the border. It's in the Constitution. And yet he's demanding Biden do it. And Biden's not allowed to do it in the Constitution. And so, yeah, our America has fallen. And because America has fallen, you're seeing Texas and other states and Utah all setting up, seceding from the nation. They have not officially done it, but when you're not following the Constitution, when you don't give a damn about what the federal government says or does, and you do your own thing, you've seceded from the nation. You are an enemy combatant. You are an insurrectionist. You are a traitor and a treasonous terrorist even when you do these military tactics against the United States' Constitution and the government. And so, yeah, we are in a civil war. And sure enough, he sends them to Chicago, fulfilling Joseph Smith's prophecy from Noah Packard through his brother that I did yesterday. And so, yeah, Elder Gong is married to a white woman. Elder Gong is an Asian American. And so it wasn't really a thing in Brigham Young's day, but that is going to be an issue when Nelson gets the kingdom back next year. Is this concept of not interracially marrying. It's in his audio. He tells BYU students, don't do it. You know, white people marry white people, and others marry others. It's very evil. And so I just wish James had heard that video before seeing this comment. And unfortunately he didn't. And so I now have to delete Mark's comment because it is not being understood properly out of context of church history. And so, yeah, I am glad that James knows enough that the racism that still exists in the church is the reason not to join the church. And unfortunately, the missionaries are not really getting a clue that they blew it. So the church is evil. It's plain and precious in its simplicity. So there, I've removed Mark's comment. All right, James again on the same video. This time he's thanking me. I would personally like to thank you for all the help you have given me, and especially to Jasmine, We have a lot of downtime. Yeah, I understand you have something tomorrow night, or tomorrow. And so you've had some days off. So she is doing a lot of reading on the topics that you discuss with her. At present, Jasmine has always also been communicating with the projects that she's working on. And so there's some background stuff that are popping up in my head. One of which was I did in one of my videos, I said, well, I've never met James and Jasmine, and for all I know, Jasmine is 300 pounds. So Jasmine today sent me an email having watched that video and saw that part and insisted she's not 300 pounds. It's so funny. And so, yeah, she also sent me a video clip of James throwing them both into the pool that they have out there. At least somebody's having fun in their life. I have to live vicariously through your lives. At present, we both are doing some comparison work that she says you would like to have when we are finished. Yes, James is working on the Book of Mormon comparisons of the different editions of the Book of Mormon, and Jasmine is working on the Doctrine and Covenants, doing a chronological chart listing, and she's being very insecure about it. She's concerned she's going to make some errors, and then I'm going to laugh at her. Oh, Jasmine. That really means a lot to her, so thank you again. Yeah, no problem. You know, it's awesome that there are those out there who are learning and knowing how to learn to do the research, and are letting me experience what you guys are doing. Because technically, I never wanted to do these videos. I never wanted to do this research. I just wanted to find somebody else to do it for me. I just wanted an answer. And when I learned that nobody else knew the answers, then I knew that I had to do my own research to find them. And so that's why I did what I did and am who I am and do what I do. And so I would prefer that I not be attacked by the church for doing what they refuse to do, and then punishing me for what they refuse to do to give us the answers. Alrighty, Mark, you gonna behave on this one? Oklahoma natives give back LDS Church $2 million blood money. I'm a week late on that one because it wasn't in the church news, and none of the local news put a clip on it online on YouTube. It was the Salt Lake Tribune that was the only ones that covered it, and that was last week when they did. And I didn't find out until the Queer did a video for her channel this morning that I saw. My uncle did the same stunt to his family. You know, he decides he wants to be gay so that he can abandon the responsibilities of being a husband and a father. And that I'm just supposed to accept him for that? I don't think so. It makes you the bad guy. And his excuse for why he thinks he's gay? Oh my God. That was lame. That was really lame, lol. because I heard all those arguments from the bullies in school. You know, anything and everything you did was gay. And that's what psychologists do. And I will probably cover that if I get to Natasha Helfer today. It's after 2 o'clock. But, yeah, the psychologists and bullies, they repeat things over and over again. Name-calling people, their victims. Name-calling over and over and over and over and over until the victim gives in and accepts that they are the bullying name-calling and end up in despair. This is why too many kids are committing suicide, is because of the bullies keeping repeating over and over again until the victim is just morally crushed and doesn't think that anybody loves them, and then they don't see any other option but to make me cry. Psychologists and bullies, they need to be locked up. And so yes, the Hildebrandt woman, it's her turn to fry. So, he is being nicer. Glad to hear the Oklahoma natives gave back the money. They can't be bought. EFF, I'm not sure what that is. Is there a Google search to know what these text messaging coding is? Text EFF. Efficiency? Efficient? Are you sure? Oh, Merriam-Webster has something different, and Merriam-Webster is actually putting in the word. Wow. I would have never thought they would have done that. Mommy, what is... It's in Merriam-Webster. Now, and on forensic investigation proves Book of Mormon true. The enemy of the church is truth and facts. And like I've come to learn for myself, studying and investigating the church leads to apostasy. And then Mark is upset that I told Jasmine to stay away from Mark. Sorry, Mark. These are real people now. Even though it's all on the computer, you gotta understand there are real people. And that's the trolling bullies these days are able to get the kids to commit suicide. So understand the difference. Alrighty. Do a quick check. All caught up. Okay. And then, are you behaving now with the analytics? Nope. They're still covering it up. But it looks like the run is over with. Sort of. Kinda. So. Alrighty.